What's happening, everybody? Look, today on the video, how much more time do you have? Have you ever thought about time and kind of like how much you got and the fact that, you might already be 40, you may be over 50 like me, you could even be 60 or 70. How much time do you have and how are you spending your time to actually produce what you're supposed to produce? So today in this video, we're just going to talk candidly about time, about what we should be expecting, what we should be doing, and how we should be preparing. So if you have a calling on your life and you know that you're specifically supposed to accomplish something, you want to stay tuned to this episode.
Life is precious, and we all have the opportunity of living it to the fullest. Unfortunately, so few of us know how to manage it all. How do we account for our opportunities? How do we account for our time? How do we account for our relationships, health, spirituality, homes, finances, influence, and careers? How do we account for the one life we have to live? I am so glad you asked. In this program, you will find answers to all of these questions and more. Welcome to the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore.
What's up? All right. So we're talking about time today, and we're talking about how much we actually have. And I thought about something recently, or I was kind of cued to it from something that I was listening to. Do we think we have an infinite amount of time? Have you ever considered like your age and how much time you've got left? Now, if we pay attention to what's in the Bible talks about, what is it? 37, it's like 72 or something like that is the amount of time that God said that they would have. And yeah, we've been living a little bit longer than some people get to 100. Most people don't. What do most people get? Probably in their 70s. So if I was adding up my life and I said, man, I'm 52, and what if it was true that I'm only gonna live to 72? I would have 20 years left. What about you? So if that's the case, if we know that time is not infinite, we don't have an infinite amount of time. We're going to talk about time, what time is, and maybe what we can do in time so that we can do something. So let's look at time real quick. What is time? Time is the indefinite continuing process of existence and events in the past, present, and future regarded as a whole. What else? A point of time as measured in hours and minutes in past, midnight, or noon. Time is also planned, scheduled, arranged when something should or when something is going to get done. And then lastly, measure the time taken by doing something. Like maybe we measure it by doing something. So why time? Why time? Why did God create time? God is eternal. Why would he say, I'm going to create this thing called time? Like God had to create time. Time didn't exist where God is from in heaven and in the realm that he lives. There's no time. So he had to create. Think about this. God actually created time. So think about this. God created everything. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So he created everything, including time. And so when we look at time, what is time really? It's like, when we go to a funeral, we will see the beginning date and we'll see the ending date. We'll also read the obituary. It'll talk about the life sketch of somebody's, what they did and what they accomplished, maybe the family that they had, the family that they started in, kind of goes through all of that and who they're leaving behind. And so when we read through that, it's just a quick snapshot. Then you get people get up and they'll talk about, how great the person was and how they affected their life and how amazing they were and some of the fun times they had and even some of the bad times they had. But all in all, man, we're going to miss the person. Their time ended. Do we go through life thinking that time won't run out on us? I know, to be honest, I don't always think that I'm not always thinking about time in the sense that it's going to run out. No one technically wants to think about the time running out, but I think it's time to think about, okay, if time were to run out on me, then at least let me accomplish something in the time that I have. See, when God created time, what was he doing? Why did he create time? Let's consider why God created time. At least from my observation, you know, from my understanding, you know, there's all sorts of scientific things and theological things that we can probably dive into. We don't have enough time today for that. So I'm just going to give you my assertion of why God created time. God created time so that we can become who we need to become and who he said we would become, so we can do what we're supposed to do, so we can accomplish what he sent us here to accomplish. So he created time because time is the measurement from where you start to where you go. And if that's what time is, then we all get a specific amount of time to accomplish what we're supposed to do. It's just like when we look at everything around us, like we look at, well, how long do we give kids to finish the primary school, whatever they call it, elementary school and middle school? You give them 8 years. About 8 years. Some people may take a little bit longer, but for the most part, we're going to give them 8 years. How long do we give them to finish high school? We give them 4 years. How long do we give them, to finish their undergraduate degree? 4 years. And how long do we give them for for whatever? How long do we give the kid to learn how to walk? It typically happens around in this time. How long we give them, to learn how to talk? It typically happens in a specific amount of time. So there's aspects of time where the things that we learn how to do comes with time. So if there's aspects of time and there's things that we learn how to do in time, then that means that the accomplishment of your life is as a result of how we use our time. See, at the end of our life, someone's going to have something to say about you. Some people may have something really good to say about you. There may be some that may be happy that you're gone. Like if you're a bad person, I'm sure there's plenty of people, folks that may have been murderers and, stuff that, and they may have really affected families. And so when they're gone, people are just happy that they're gone. They didn't use their time well. They used their time in a way that was not advantageous to who God said they could have been. See, because really, God gives us what? What does God give us? He gives us a choice. God doesn't make the decision and say, that's what it's going to be. God says, this is who Japheth Moore should be. If Japheth Moore follows my word, if Japheth Moore follows the inspiration that I send his way, if Japheth Moore is on track, he will accomplish this. However, if he does not, then he accomplishes or he gets whatever he gets on the path that he's on. See, because God created a specific route for us to go so that we can do what we're supposed to do. And it's crazy because we get into a new year and it's February, we're ending February here in a day or so. And it's really bananas that we go from one month to the next month to the next month, and we're not really paying attention to time. It's nothing like going to bed and waking up the next day, and it's almost like it's just the same thing over and over and over. This morning I wake up and, I'm talking to God and listening out. And I'm always hoping that I hear what I need to hear, and I do as a result of hearing. It's not easy. It's not easy because there's so many things to distract us. I find myself personally distracted a lot during the day, during the evenings. And sometimes I ask myself, well, how do you get out of this distraction? If I know I'm distracted, if I know that I'm kind of like I'm doing stuff that's not going to add up to anything except wasted time, how do I get out of that? Like, how do I keep myself energized to stay away from wasted time? You know, my answer first is I don't know. Because it's kind of like I was reading a story about I think it was the Dalai Lama or somebody. No, it was one I can't remember his name. Trying to remember the guy's name, but he was somebody that you would remember. So so he's very influential, and people are coming to him and they're asking him for advice. And so a mother comes to him. I wish I could remember his name, but the name's not coming to me. The mother comes to him with her son, and she says to him, she says, "Hey, I'm trying to help my son get off of sweets. Like he eat too much sweets." And he says, "Wow, that's interesting. Come back in 2 weeks." She was a little dumb. She says, "Come back in 2 weeks." Okay, we'll come back in 2 weeks. So they come back. 2 weeks later, she comes back. "Hey, okay, we'll be back in 2 weeks." And she says, "Okay." And he tells her, he said, "The reason why I sent you away is because he was one already. He participated in eating sweets. So he needed to stop. He needed to get that under control so that he could then talk from a place of a person who's actually conquered that thing, which is eating sweets." And so he was then able to give, the son some advice, whatever. But when I heard the story, I was like, that's interesting. If I have not accomplished, it's like, wow, if I have not accomplished it, and this is deep. If I haven't accomplished it, what am I saying? What am I saying? All right. That just means it's kind of like I'm telling you that I get distracted. I am distracted by different things. It could be social media, like the 1 minute videos. I'm be honest, the 1 minute videos, they just keep coming and coming and coming and coming. I'm just like, stop already. I just gotta put the phone down. Yep, I battle with that. And I said, I have to take the time to do something. If I can take back all those 1 minute videos, probably thousands at this point, how much time is that? Some years ago, a couple stories, and I'm gonna let you go. Some years ago, I think it was 2021. I was studying time. Podcasts. I'm doing a lot of podcasts. And I'm starting studying time. It's 31,536,000 seconds in a year. It's a lot of seconds. 31,536,000 seconds in a year. And I was just studying time. And, of course, it's 12 months. Of course, it's 52 weeks, 365 days. I can't remember how many hours offhand, and I broke down. I saw the 31,536,000 seconds. I said, that's a lot of seconds to live. See, when we think of it from, I've been living 52 years, that don't sound like a lot. When we think of it from, 52 weeks, 365 days, it's not as much, but 31,536,000 seconds in 1 year. Times 52 is the amount of seconds that I've lived. And you're like, wow, that's a long time. See, it's a long time because if we consider our seconds as precious, every second, think of it. If we lost a loved one, then that means that before we lost them, those seconds, the 1 second, the 2 seconds, the 10 seconds would be, I'm talking about, very important, very powerful seconds. Like you would look at it as, man, if I could just have 1 more second with my mom, if I could just have 1 more second with my father, 1 more second with my son or daughter, 1 more second with my brother. Because, like in 2013, when all of a sudden my brother at 47 was gunned down, he was killed. Hadn't talked to him in a couple of months. He died September 24th of 2013. I hadn't talked to him in a couple of months. I can go back. Man, wish I could use those last seconds better. I wish I would have called him when I was thinking about calling him, just in those seconds that I thought about it. I didn't know how much more time he had. I didn't know that his time was running out. I didn't know that when that call came in that it was the end. Like I didn't know it. It's just that we take for granted how much time we have because we wake up and we just feel good. What about the person that left out of the house this morning and won't make it home? What about the person that didn't come home last night? What about the person that was feeling great and then all of a sudden they're in the hospital with terminal illness and they're gone? Everything was going great until the time lapse was over. I don't know how much time any of us have. I used to be afraid of time. Maybe you as a Christian, they always talked about Jesus coming back and, how, you better be ready and all this other stuff. And then the more and more I study the Bible tells me that, hey, nobody knows the day or the hour. So my job is to occupy my time. And I should do that well. So if I don't know how much more time I have, then what should we do? We should focus on the present moment that we have. Presently, if there's a relationship that we think about, man, I should call this person, call them up, right? If there's something that we should do in our business, go ahead and do it. Prepare. If there's something that I should say to my wife, say to my husband, I should say it. Good. I'm not talking about any bad things. If there's something that I need to address and, with my kids or something that I need to, just say, you know what, I'm just going to do it today. If there's some decision that I need to make, let me make it now. If there's a choice that I need to make, let me go ahead and make the choice, because I don't know how much time we have. And when time ends, I won't be able to go back and say, man, I wish I would have. That'll be for somebody else to do. Somebody else would say, I wish I would have called. I wish I would have went by the house. I wish I would have. But we don't have to do that. Because now that we can put just a little cap on the fact that we don't know how much time we have, I know what I'm going to do. I don't know about you. I'm going to look at time. I'm going to say, you know what? What am I going to focus on? Am I going to focus on my calling, or I'm going to focus on the resistance? I saw somebody talk about this recently, and so it really resonated, because a lot of times we focus on the resistance. And by focusing on the resistance, we wind up using our time wrong. So we don't know how much more time we have. And we know that time is an indefinite continued progress of existence. We don't know how long we have. So in the meantime and in between time, we will focus on how to account for our life, because account for our life is an accountability plan for people who want to change, who want to adapt, who want to become more, who want to make the right choices, who want to be consistent, who wants to be disciplined. Like, that's what account for your life is. It encompasses your money, your health, your wealth, your finances, like everything, your physical health, your mindset, your spirituality. It encompasses all of that. How do you account for your time? You account for your time by focusing on your calling. And by focusing on the calling, we take no note of the resistance that we will have, because we'll get resistance. But all we're doing is focusing on what is good and perfect in the eyes of our Father. So focus on that. We don't know how much more time we have. Let's not be the one looking in the rearview mirror wondering if we should do the thing. Let's just do the thing. So, guys, I thank you for joining me for this episode of the I AFYL Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to wherever you're watching this podcast, and make sure you share it. Let somebody else know about the podcast. We're looking to grow this channel to 100,000 subscribers in 2024. We need your help to do it. God bless you, and I will see you on the next episode. Peace.
Thanks for joining us, listening friends. We are so glad you invested this time with us. Always remember, you only have one life to live, so live it to the fullest. This has been the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore. Until next time, make it a great day.